kind during this transformational time. I should not say end time, because end time is a too negative and too depressive word. So I strongly recommend and I emphasize everybody in the world should read Zeta Talk, because Zeta Talk contains all the life-saving and vital information that you need in order to survive the pole shift. This is a shift of the Earth crust by a little more than 90 degrees, and nobody can escape it. You can run wherever you want, you cannot escape it, and therefore everybody must read Zeta Talk. And the pole shift is caused by Planet X. That is the 10th planet of our solar system, if you count Pluto as a planet. And it has already arrived in the inner solar system, has arrived in late 2003, and there's a couple of photos of Planet X on the Zeta Talk website, and also on poleshift.ning.com, which is the blog closely connected to Zeta Talk. Yes, and the Zetas are here to warn mankind about these catastrophes and to enlighten mankind with very detailed and extensive information, and they tell us in a very blunt manner that the establishment and NASA and the governments and the Catholic Church, they have been lying for decades about Planet X and the end time and pole shift. And if you wonder that you have never heard before about Planet X and the pole shift, this is no surprise, because there's a cover-up going on and has been going on for decades. You must remember that the Planet X was discovered in 1983, almost 30 years ago, and astronomers are brutally suppressed. They are muzzled, and we have documented the meeting with such astronomers on our website. So, yes, a pole shift, what does it mean? It means that Earth rotation will stop for 5.9 days, and followed by shift of the Earth crust. And this shift of the Earth crust will trigger so-called cataclysms. That is a term from geology, and this cataclysm means a huge catastrophe, a very widespread catastrophe, which destroys almost everything. So cataclysm means tidal waves up to 600 feet high, earthquakes on 9 on the Richter scale, very widespread everywhere, mountain building, firestorms dropping from the sky, and these are cataclysms. And that is Zeta Talk is about, and much more, of course. And the Zetas give very detailed information for every country in the world. There is a link called Save Logs at the left-hand side of the Zeta Talk, and there you can read up on your country and your area. But first you should study the first chapter of the chapter, the first half of the chapter Pole Shift, which is the most important chapter of Zeta Talk, and get an idea what a pole shift means. And if you have understood this, you can proceed with the other chapters. And I also highly recommend the PostShift blog, postshift.ning.com, and which provides up-to-date reports from around the world about Earth changes and conspiracies and aliens. So let me say something more in detail about the most current prediction by the Zetas, called 7 of 10. Do not confuse this with the pole shift, because the pole shift comes several months later. So the 7 of 10's predictions have nothing to do with the pole shift itself. So the Zetas introduced a scale 1 to 10 in early 2008, and this scale 1 to 10 describes the reaction of the Earth in response to Planet X. It is the feather state of the Earth in response to Planet X. This scale describes the state of geological changes such as earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, but also economic catastrophes and sociological change. So all in all, this scale 1 to 10 describes the feather state of the Earth, how the Earth is responding to Planet X. And now we have arrived at the point 7 on this scale, and the Zetas have made some very concrete, very detailed predictions for this 7 of 10. And on the left-hand side of zetatalk.com there is a link called 7 of 10 overview, and there you can read in detail. I give you a summary of these predictions. So the first step is a tipping of the Indo-Australian plate, with the second step Indonesia sinking. Indonesia will not sinking entirely, but large parts of Indonesia will sink up to 80 feet. The third step is the folding of the Pacific, followed by South America to roll. South America will roll to the west some 200 miles or so over a couple of days, and so there are already signs that this will happen. The fifth step is a tearing of the South Atlantic Rift, allowing Africa to roll to the east, and the flow of the Mediterranean will drop. So the Strait of Gibraltar between Spain and Morocco will greatly widen, some 120 miles or so, and this will be the sixth and seventh steps. And the eighth step is the eighth prediction is great quakes in Japan, at least magnitude 8. These will be in the south of Japan and go to the north of Japan. So the quake, the big quake in Japan on March 11 was not specifically predicted by the Zeta. This was an extra occurrence. So there will still some great quakes still to come in Japan. The ninth prediction is the adjustment of the new Madrid fault line New Madrid, this is a geological zone in the eastern part of the U.S. in Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, along the Mississippi, and there will be great quakes too. So this adjustment means that the North American continent will rotate, it will skew it. So the north top of North America, that is Canada, will shift to the east, the South Mexico will shift to the west, so North America will be skewed, and this will lead to great quakes in the New Madrid, and this will instantly followed by a tearing of the North Atlantic rift, and this will cause a huge displacement of water, and this will cause a European tsunami which will strike all European coasts or West European coasts, primarily the UK, Spain, France, Norway, but will go as far as Germany, northern Germany and Denmark. So it will strike all Western European coasts, and that is the 10th step of this Zeta prediction. So, and this is it from me so far.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Niels. I mean, we've been talking the subject in the first 2 hours in German, and now for English-speaking listeners, or for people who just tuned in or turned into the show, we are on the United We Strike radio show of our radio marathon, April 16th, 2011, and I'm Detlef of Wake News Radio. And I'm your host in the first 3 hours. And after this hour, we will switch to also other hosts and interesting other English-speaking guests. So stay tuned in any case. And our guest is here, Niels Neumann from Germany. And he has been working on Zeta Talk predictions for the world, for what is coming to us. And we can follow the news almost daily with all the earthquakes, and you've heard about Planet X. And maybe, Niels, what you should explain to our audience as well is what you said in the first 2 hours about Planet X. What is to be expected, what Planet X is going to do to our Earth eventually.
Well, okay. I want to go a little bit more into detail here. So, Planet X came from very far out, from outer space, and entered the inner solar system in late 2003, and has rounded the south pole of the Sun and is now approaching Earth, is now roughly between the Sun and Earth, and as fantastic as and unbelievable as this may sound, but it is really so. And so Planet X will finally get a lot more closer to the Earth, and this will affect the position of the Earth axis. So it will finally the tilt of the Earth axis will be different than normal, and there's a text on Zeta Talk called "The Lean to the Left," and this will mean there will be an offset with the sunrise and the sunset, and the sun will not be in the right position, and this will go on for a few weeks, and finally, as Planet X tightens its grip on the Earth, the North Pole of Earth will tip away from Planet X, and this will cause the infamous 3 days of darkness. And the 3 days of darkness are a very central and very dominating concept in all end-time prediction that was predicted from many sources, by many sources and so the Earth will stand on its head, will be reversed. The Earth will be reversed, and this will most notably include a very long night. So when the Earth stands upside down, this will be followed by 6 days of sunrise west. So the sun will appear in the west, and the normal Earth rotation goes on as before, and then so the Earth rotation will be normal, but the Earth will upside down, so the sun will rise in the west. And finally, the Earth swings back, will stand on her feet again. So the position of the Earth axis will be normal again, but the Earth rotation will start slowing. So the Zeta talk tells us Earth rotation will come to a stop within 4 weeks. It will exponentially. We will lose first a few seconds, then a few minutes, then a few hours, and so on. So this stop of Earth rotation is word recorded as a long day or long night. You can read it up in Velikovsky's famous book, Worlds in Collision. And we have the excerpts of Velikovsky on our website. So this stop of Earth rotation will last 5.9 days, and at the end of these 5.9 days there will be the pole shift. The Earth will flip, the Earth crust will flip, and so there will be huge tidal waves and earthquakes everywhere, and chaos everywhere. So Europe will shift to the South Tropics. Oh, the new equator will be now west of the Europe now, where Europe is now. So we'll go west of Ireland, west of Norway, up to Spitsbergen, north of Russia. This will be the new equator, and much of Europe will go tropical. India will become the new South Pole. India will shift south. The Atlantic will greatly widen, and the Pacific will compress, and the bulge of northeastern Brazil will become the new North Pole. So you can read the details on the Zeta talk website, and I suggest if this sounds impossible to you, or if this sounds like a fairy tale to you, or a fantasy, then I suggest you study Velikovsky. We have the Velikovsky seminar on our homepage, and there's also a German Velikovsky page, velikovsky.de, with a English section, and there I can read up on Velikovsky. And so this is basically the effect that Planet X will have on the Earth, and the Earth has been responding to Planet X for almost 20 years. But basically, the climate change. Climate change is not caused by humans. That's a lie. That's a lie perpetrated by the establishment and the media. And the truth is that the Earth is responding to Planet X, and I highly recommend the 2 videos of made by Andrew Versailles. There is a link on the entry side of Zeta Talk to the left, down left, Zeta movie part 1 and part 2, and this will give you a very nice overview of the pole shift and Planet X, and also give you will help you to see through the lies of the establishment and the media, etc. So that is from me.
Yeah, thanks, Niels, for this great overview of what is going to happen. For all of our listeners who have just turned in to our radio show here, we are on United We Strike Radio Marathon, April 16th, 2011. And I'm Detlef of Wake News Radio, and our guest, special guest from Germany, is Niels Neumann. And please stay tuned. We still have some very interesting news on, and the whole show is going to be very interesting and going through the whole day and the whole night, wherever you are in terms of time zone. It's going to be very interesting, so stay tuned. And tomorrow we will have our Sunday marathon with a lot of music and lots of interesting guests as well, and then we will also interview some of the musicians like Poker Face, and we will have Steve Phillips on there as well as Extraterrestrial UK, and thanks also to our other neighboring stations, our partner stations, radio stations. We had already quite a few yesterday who were simultaneously transmitting our broadcasting, and we will have ICRN and other stations tuning in today and tomorrow. So, Niels, obviously we are also interested in learning. I mean, we were talking about now physical things, material things which are happening in our third dimension, but we also know that there are more dimensions than just the three. And the Zetas also talked and predicted some things spiritually which are important for us as human beings, because we have a body, but we also have a soul, and the soul is not going to die; it's forever. Is that correct? Could you explain some more about the spiritual effects which the Zeta Talk is talking about?
All right. So yes, this is correct. We have an indestructible soul, and the soul has an orientation. So Zeta Talk has introduced the very nice concept of service to self versus service to other, and each soul in the universe has one of these orientations, and our lesson here on Earth, here on third density, is to determine our spiritual orientation, either service to self or service to other, and the pole shift is a catalyst. It will speed up this transformation. So, as I said in the German show before, I often compare it to the Hurricane Katrina in 2005, which struck the South USA, and that was a mini pole shift, a small scale pole shift, and you could see this polarity, the polarization. There, on the one side, there were those who pushed the others aside, who looted homes, who stole food and water from others, who used their elbows, and these people were only thinking of themselves, etc. And on the other hand, you saw some caring people who distributed food, who helped others, and sharing information, etc. These were the service to other, and you can be rest assured, under the extreme circumstances of a pole shift, there will be such a worldwide polarization, and this is what Zeta talk calls the transformation. The service to self will die out on Earth several decades after the pole shift, so Earth will be a home only for service to other beings, and that was predicted by prophets and seers, and also in the Bible. And I recommend you read the text Third Density Lessons, and read about I don't know which chapter, you can find out with the search engine. Our lesson here on third density is to determine our spiritual transformation. I recommend you read the Zeta Talk chapter Orientation to get an idea of these two orientations. And this is not our final life. Life will go on after death, and we will go on with our orientation and the service to self. They will transport it to a prison planet for a very unpleasant life with people of the same kind, and Earth will become a lot more pleasant place after the pole shift and after the transformation, and so the bad guys will be sorted out. Only the good guys will be allowed to live on Earth, and that is important, not only to think about material preparation, but do not neglect the spiritual aspect. Don't be egoistic. Think about others, help others, share some empathy, share some love with others. That is what Zeta Talk suggests, and that is actually a good thing.
Yeah.
That's for me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very nice. I mean, people usually do have respect, before what is coming up to us, after the Japan earthquake, which took place on the 11th of March. Basically, even just 10 days after our first show we made, Niels, on pole shift in German, though, something like that in Japan happened, and now people are much more anxious and much more interested in the subject as well. But, we all shouldn't be afraid. It's not to be afraid, but it's rather looking forward to something new and fantastic coming to mankind. What would you say to that?
Yes, you are right. These are actually fantastic times we live in. So, a certain level of anxiety and fear is necessary to survive. Without an anxiety and fear, we would march to death very quickly. But so some have some respect, have some fear for nature. That is okay. And the Zetas have always emphasized they are here to reduce fear and anxiety among the humans to a minimum, and the Zetas certainly do not want to fuel fear and anxiety, and And I think it is not so difficult to survive a pole shift. All you need is some information and some simple rules. When you follow these rules, then you can survive. And even if you not survive, if you are a good-hearted person, then you will incarnate perhaps in a hybrid body and will have an interesting life. So there's some things we can look forward to. It is we should not look only to. We should not only be concerned about catastrophes and disaster, and this is a time of spiritual growth, of enlightenment, and we can also meet hybrids, and aliens, and so it will be quite an interesting time.
Niels, I just get a question in here. Somebody's asking, who is Zeta Talk? Because we have people listening who've never heard about it. So could you quickly, yeah?
Though let me say something about the Zetas. The Zetas are benign aliens who have been observing mankind for millennia, and they are here to enlighten mankind and to help mankind with very extensive information. So Zeta Talk consists of telepathic messages. So the author of Zeta Talk, Nancy Leader, is a telepath, and Zeta Talk is a question and answer game. So the users pose question to Nancy, and the Zetas ask via Nancy, and the Zetas respond via Nancy, and she publishes these answers on zetatalk.com. So Zeta Talk is a big amount of information. It is a telepathic work. It is has proven to be the leading authority on the pole shift and Planet X and the transformation. So that is Zeta Talk.
Okay, because not everybody knows, so that's to mention. Now we also talked about some things in the German part in the first 2 hours about the preparation. What can we do, or what can the single person do in order to prepare for what is coming up? I mean, there's a material preparation, a physical preparation, obviously, but there's also a spiritual preparation which everybody should do in order to be part of it. So could you say something to that?
Well, preparation, yes. Well, as I said already in the German part, if you have all this information, that is already good preparation. If you understand what is going on, and if you know what to expect, and if you study the Zeta Talk website very carefully, and that is already an advantage. But that is not, of course, not enough. If you want to live well after the pole shift, learn some survival skills. Learn how to distill waters, how to live off the land. Learn how to feed yourself. You can stock some food, but this is not the best way, because it only prolongs your dependence on the old system. It prolongs your dependence on the old world, and it is more important to become self-sustainable, self-sufficient, become self-sufficient. It is go to some rural areas, have your own garden, have some chickens, try these things, and you need a water filter. That is very important, and have a survival group. It's not optimal to be on one's own, to go alone after the pole shift. That is not recommended. It is better to be in a group together with like-minded people. And I suggest you study the Troubled Times website. On Zeta Talk, there's a link to Troubled Times at the bottom, almost at the bottom. And these are little things that everybody can do. And this is from me. It's from me now.
Yeah. So that's important for all of our listeners, because we're talking about preparations all the time. Also to be part of our United We Strike initiative. I mean, we are saying if you want to get off the grid, and if you want to get out of the matrix, and if you don't want to be suppressed by tyranny of governments and corporations who are having taken control of our lives, then you have to be conscious of what you're doing. And we are saying, don't buy, don't comply, ask why. And part of this is also to prepare to not be dependent on the grid, and have some supply ready, have some water reserves ready for yourself, and try to be independent. And that's basically also the way to do it, as you propose, because when there's a pole shift, or when there's earthquakes and things happening, you have to be prepared for that. And that's physically meant by storage of food and supplies, but it's also spiritually meant. So talking with your friends and neighbors and family and whatever about the subject, and also prepare yourself on what, for instance, Zeta is talking about. I mean, that is very important. And I'm glad we have you as a guest today on our United We Strike radio marathon. And we are, almost over with this portion. And we thank Niels, because he's been very supportive here on our show today, with 2 hours in German and 1 hour in English. So thanks a lot, Niels. So we have another 5 or 6 minutes. So if you would summarize your findings and make a last comment, and then we will go into a break. So Niels, if you want to summarize. I'm somewhat confused. What shall I summarize? What is your... Well, we talked about that we have to expect the pole shift, which is explained by Zeta Talk in 7 of 10 steps, right? And you've given an outlook on the 8th and on the 9th, although this is not available in detail yet. And then you've mentioned that we have to be prepared also over here in Europe on major changes. And it is very important for everybody to have a look onto the Zeta Talk website. And this is zetatalk.com, is that correct?
Is correct, yes.
Is this one word, Zeta Talk, or do you have
one word.
Yeah, okay.
One word, yeah.
Yeah, so everybody should have a look there, and look out after the links on the page of Zeta Talk, and because Niels is the German translator of Zeta Talks or Zeta Talks in English, and he's translated a lot into German. So all our German-speaking listeners who still are on here, you can go to polsprung-info.de or polsprung-info.de, but this is all in German, or on zetatalk.com. And you also have a blog. Could you say the blog?
Yes. The address is polshift.ning.com, and I highly recommend it. There you find the summaries on the left side, and you always find up-to-date reports about Earth changes and the cover-up and conspiracy. So polshift.ning.com.
Okay, because that's very important, because our listeners who have tuned in to our show today in the first 3 hours are obviously very interested also in information about the upcoming pole shift and Planet X as well. And guys, I mean, because you don't hear lots of information on mass media does not mean it doesn't happen. We all know that mass media is controlled by a few who want to control our minds, and we as United We Strike Radio Marathon, or as Wake News Radio or other stations which are involved in this initiative, they want to bring the truth to you, or are searching for the truth. And that's why we have such many interesting guests on our radio marathons all the time, especially today. We're looking forward to lots of more information to come. So please stay tuned in any case. So just to give you a little overview, we will have Dr. Lorraine Hurley coming up right after, and we will also have somebody from Japan, Indy from Japan, who will be interviewing Andre Shepard, an American soldier with integrity who's refusing to be used in what he believes is illegal military action.